morning, good afternoon, good evening, Jar of Marble dwellers and Jar of Marble curious. My name is Linda and this is Jar of Marbles.
Hello, and I'm Bob.
Hello, Bob. Good to see you.
So good to see you too.
Thank you very much. This week, I wanted to talk a little bit about in regard to mental health, mental chatter. I was talking to a couple of young people today, ages around 30 years old, and they were beating themselves up for not being where they should be doing or doing what they thought they should be by now.
Great lament.
Yeah, very much so. They had little to no regard to how far that they had actually come. I believe most importantly that in the scheme of things, as far as building a solid sense of self, you are still in your building years. You're not supposed to have it all figured out.
Do you have it all figured out?
Well, sometimes I think I do, and sometimes I definitely know I don't. I wanted to talk about how common it is, how normal it is for old, non-helpful.
The emphasis being on non-helpful?
Yeah, for old or new narratives that make you feel stuck or worried about your path in life. It is normal for these untrue narratives to increase in volume in your mind. Man, I'm in my 60s and I at times have to correct myself, turn up my self-awareness and stop what is ever blasting rubbish in my mind.
Well, yeah, you're really old, so you'd know.
Well, a wee bit old enough to know better and do better, and it's a cool tool.
Why does it happen though?
Well, I believe this happens when we are at the point of expansion, that you find yourself at a point at which maybe you're about to make different choices for a different road, make a decision of any size for your life.
Why didn't the coffee bean go to the Halloween party? Because it was grounded.
Good one, Bob. When you find you're involved in something that is good for you, is healthy for you, maybe something you've been wanting to do for a long time and perhaps you've worked towards, there are the key moments. Don't be surprised if old thoughts, old crusty narratives come rushing back in, you know, the ones that pull you back, create imposter syndrome.
I ordered a chicken and an egg online. I'll let you know.
And this is where along the way you could feel tired.
Don't give up.
Yeah, learn to rest, not to quit. So, in these key moments, here is where the increase of volume can occur from a brainiac point of view. This is where the old ego thinks it's protecting you, which is the ego's job. It's trying to stop you from taking a risk. It senses and detects this is dangerous and it's out of the realm of possibilities or what you normally do.
Oh, Godfather's so not true.
It's trying to stop you from taking a risk.
Oh, yeah.
You'll feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's true.
And as we all do with varying kinds of change, all of us. So the ego's detecting that you're feeling uncomfortable and stepping away from the familiar.
Yeah, that's what I thought, more the familiar.
Yeah. So here is whether the increase of volume comes to tell you this is dangerous, to stop. Go back before it's too late.
Go back before it's too late.
Yeah, that's right, Bob. And we all know that one. So at that moment, all the old stories come up, the shitful things that people have said to you, and you start feeling that retreating is probably a good idea.
Or not.
Or maybe you simply recognise that you don't have to listen to those narratives.
You don't?
No, you don't. You don't know, probably a good idea to not listen. This is the breakaway from the ties to the ego and say no, even say it out loud. I have and I do.
You do, don't you?
I do, Bob. I do. Pushing through that mental chatter in order to access new territory, that is where all the expansion and growth is at. I'm asking that you be aware of the dynamics of what you are experiencing as you push through. One rule of thumb for me is, and you might know this or do it yourself, but for those that don't, where trusting yourself is involved,
on the table.
Yeah, trust the part of yourself that knows, in particular, where you are at the crossroads with something. You actually can't go back. And perhaps trying to fit back into the old snail house will only cause great uneasiness because you've grown and you just simply can't go back.
But what if you don't know what you want?
That's an excellent question, Bob.
It is?
It is. My favourite self-talk statement is, you may not know what you want yet, but you do know what you don't want.
Well, yeah, that's a good start then.
That is, Bob. I think so, yes. So that is enough to keep me on my right path to myself and for you on your path. Try it if you haven't, and it helps clear the confusion or the stalemate. As Mark Twain said, I'm an old man and have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. And how many of us can say that? It's so true, isn't it? The things we worry about, most of it never happens. It's easy to feel disillusioned and perhaps feel cynical. The system, much like in the days of ancient Rome, feels despairingly broken.
It's a bit rough, isn't it?
Life can feel like that at spots. I just avoid the spots, or at least don't allow it to take hold. That's the thing. Corruption, incompetence, and dishonesty seem everywhere. The challenges seem
Immense.
absolutely, and the odds overwhelming.
So why care?
Why bloody bother, you ask?
Well, yeah.
Well, the Stoics would argue because you matter.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Because one person can make a difference.
Absolutely true.
All of us can look back over our lives and remember when someone did or said something that just made life nicer, made it better. But by the same token,
Yes.
it is known and has been studied, and interesting, that good things can happen. But why do we only remember the bad stuff? The negative. If we didn't take it so deep to our hearts, it might just be valuable feedback. The question still remains, why do we remember the negative instead of valuing the positive? Imagine if Epictetus had believed everything was beyond fixing, and a different personality could well have thought that with ease. That if he had believed that Rome was just too far gone. One of Epictetus, oh crikey dicks, how do you say that? Epictetus. That'll do. One of Epictetus's key insights on rebuilding relates to the Stoic concept of distinguishing between what is within our control and what isn't. For him, it was essential to understand that while we cannot control external circumstances, whether that be loss, change, failure, we can control how we respond to them. This is often summarised in his famous line, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Now, doesn't that sound rather modern? But there you go, it's been around for all time. Does that not sound like a newish concept?
Yeah.
So not only would his life been different if he had different motivations, but so would Marcus Aurelius and by extension millions of other Romans.
But surely you're running the risk of being set in your ways. You old codgers do that, yeah?
Well, that's exactly why I'm interested in learning, Bob, and or being curious around a myriad of subject snippets, and that certainly stops getting in me, getting in my own way.
What are you trying to say?
Well, I'm trying to say that I try not to get in my own way, try not to get stuck. I don't want to be that stuck person. People don't want their beliefs challenged. That's the thing. This can also be the stunning smack in the chops with the lack of self-awareness in others can sometimes be quite astonishing. And I'm really thinking about when you go into comment sections, say under a post, so someone's beliefs have been challenged. So instead of scrolling on, they leave a spiteful, often uneducated comment. These same sorts don't think there's anything wrong with coming into a post, say, and determining someone else's worth and leaving garbage.
I know.
This is the stuff not to hold on to. Yeah, of course it can hurt, but don't hold on to it too long. It can cause changes in your brain and then becomes a memory that is not worth the pain it would cause.
Hey, how would you make an egg roll? Push it.
We have navigated some big life in our time.
Jeez, I need a snooze.
We are the sum of our previous choices. Why we end up doing things, our reasoning, our motivations. Much can change and mutate into something else. Here I am at 63 and I say, what's wrong with being 63? You say I'm old, Bob.
Well, yes I do, but we're not in the last 10 minutes.
All my life, Bob, I've been glad to be me. I mean, I have at different ages thought that, yes, I'm okay about being me. What I mean to say is always been comfortable in my own skin. Geez, you are who you are, right? I know a few people who genuinely, are really happy in their bones, are glad to be who they are, warts and all.
Warts?
Yeah, and age is such an honour And a bloody relief.
What do you mean?
Well, relieved that I'm still alive. I kind of like the view. I have discussed this in previous episodes. Well, there's a few episodes now, so it's come in at different points from varying angles. My brain likes that, and I hope my listeners do too.
Well, yeah, maybe, I guess.
Well, Bob, I can't control how you see me, but I can control how I see myself.
That is so true.
I know, right? I'm an advocate for that 100% with a tinge of attitude and humour and lots of pots of love. Some people look after themselves, some don't. Some consider how they actually think might not be serving them and do something about it. Some are repeat offenders with making self-sabotaging choices. Others make changes, new and good ones, and I'm very grateful to myself that I did that.
Here we go.
Hold on, Bob. So I'm grateful for showing up here every week.
So what? So you're grateful to yourself?
Yeah, I am. It's an ongoing conscious decision. The podcast, it gives me drive and a deadline and a reason to go above what I think I can do. And many times I don't know, but I do it anyway. But that turns out to be the fun part for me too.
Just blow your own horn then, why don't you? Okay, Bob.
Okay, Bob. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always conscious about talking to that pocket of people who are doing their thing regardless and enjoying themselves, teaching themselves, and I'm enjoying myself too. I am. Hashtag mental chatter. Let me fail if I must. The one I will become will catch me. Quote by Baal Shem Tov.
Oh, I love that.
I know. With the mental chatter, life in general needs more than quick fixes and tactics. It's about seeing the bigger picture and making intentional plans that align with your goals.
I calculated my December budget and realised everyone is getting a hug for Christmas.
Good plan, Bob. Mental chatter, those constant thoughts that run through our minds, is a normal aspect of human cognition. It's often a mix of self-talk, random musings, worries and reminders. Sometimes this mental chatter can feel overwhelming.
Even counterproductive.
Yeah, for sure, Bob. So let's explore the brain science behind mental chatter and some strategies for managing it effectively. The neuroscience behind mental chatter involves the default mode.
Would that be the DMN?
Yeah, the default mode network is a network of brain regions active when we're at rest and not focused on a specific task. This network includes areas such as the medial prefrontal cortex, the posterior cingulate cortex, and the angular gyrus.
Oh, yeah, know all them.
Do you really?
No.
When we daydream, ruminate, or let our minds wander, it is usually the DMN at work. It's essentially our autopilot mode, responsible for self-referential thoughts, while the DMN is vital for creativity and self-reflection. It's also linked to overthinking and anxiety.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think so, Bob.
Very sciencey.
The amygdala activation and emotional chatter.
Oh, boy, oh, boy.
The amygdala, an almond-shaped set of neurons, and it plays a critical role in processing emotions, especially fear and stress. When we have stressful or negative thoughts, the amygdala can become overactive, leading to increased anxiety and even more negative mental chatter.
I was thinking yesterday, why age gracefully when you can age like an old cheese, full of character and slightly offensive?
Oh, hell, I love that. With ongoing chatter, this can create a feedback loop where negative thoughts trigger emotional responses, which in turn fuel even more mental chatter. A quote from Eleanor Roosevelt: "No one can make you feel inferior without your permission."
The sciencey part, yes?
Yeah, the prefrontal cortex and self-regulation. As Will Rogers said, I know that worrying works because none of the stuff I worried about ever happened. The prefrontal cortex, located at the front of the brain, helps us regulate thoughts and emotions. It's responsible for planning, decision-making, and impulse control. When our mental chatter becomes too intense, the prefrontal cortex can step in to help us refocus. But when we are under stress. The connection between the prefrontal cortex and other areas like the amygdala can weaken, making it harder to regulate thoughts and emotions effectively. When I started getting a basic understanding of my brain, instead of it only being a concept, it has actually changed my life for the better. I don't need to be a neurologist to be able to help myself. I'm improving my thinking. But believe me, if I can do it, you can do it. I don't like the idea that my life is just going to happen to me. I like to have a say by understand what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I reckon. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Neurotransmitters and thought patterns. Neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin are also involved in mental chatter. Dopamine, associated with pleasure and reward, can lead to repetitive thoughts, especially around things we anticipate and desire. Serotonin, often called the feel-good chemical, influences mood and social behaviour. Low levels of serotonin can lead to depressive thinking and negative mental chatter.
Get more sun. Why does mental chatter matter?
Well, mental chatter can be harmful and it can also be helpful. On the positive side, it allows us to problem solve, self-reflect, and develop a narrative of who we are. However, when it comes to excessive or negative overthinking, it can lead to stress, decreased focus and anxiety. And unchecked mental chatter can also drain our mental energy, making it harder to focus and stay present. I recall once I was working in a really toxic environment, all sorts of weird interplays between work colleagues and the bosses who were ding-dongs and enjoyed being racist and mean and did not like being corrected or to explain what they meant. And that was the first time ever in my life that I consciously had to watch my thinking, as I had noticed that the energy in the workspace was starting to have a powerful negative effect on me. So I was searching out all sorts of information on combating the situation, trying to, talking to friends. And as you know, I'm a bit of an audio girl, and the bulk of my learnings I do is in the car. If I'm going to be in the car for an hour, well, even less, I want to educate myself. And again, I don't like just anything filling my ears. My mind, I like to listen to information that is well presented and educational that I can apply to my life, or at least, have a good shot at trying to understand. I share this with my adult children, and that has proven to be a wonderful investment.
You are a bit of a nerd, though.
Yes, thank you, Bob. Yes, apparently I am, yes. Strategies to manage mental chatter. Mindfulness meditations. Practicing mindfulness can reduce activity in the DMN, helping to quiet mental chatter by focusing on the present moment. We can learn to observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them, and that in itself then can really reduce their intensity. Reframing our negative thoughts. Cognitive behavioural therapy, CBT, techniques can be helpful in identifying and reframing negative mental chatter. By challenging negative thoughts and replacing them with more realistic perspectives, we can really, truly reduce their emotional impact.
A cheese factory exploded in France. Debris is everywhere.
Now, with physical activity, we know that exercise stimulates the release of endorphins, which improve mood and increase energy. Physical activity has also been shown to reduce activity in the amygdala, which can then decrease stress and anxiety, and that's got to be a good thing. Always, that's right. If mental chatter is stressing you out, you recognise that too much is going on in your head. Deep breathing and relaxation techniques are the bomb. Even just taking that time to stop and taking some nice long deep breaths really do make you just feel better. So the deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system and it calms the body and helping the mind just feel more settled.
It's all quite amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, Bob, I love knowing how this all fits in together. Simple practices like these can interrupt cycles of stressful thoughts and allow the brain to reset.
And that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. Understanding the science behind mental chatter can make it easier to work with it rather than against it. And I can attest to the fact that it has helped me so much. By acknowledging its origins and learning strategies for managing it, we can transform mental chatter into a helpful tool for, say, self-reflection. Recognizing that we're doing it again and stopping it is putting you behind the driver's wheel.
I had a date last night. It was perfect. Tomorrow I think I might have a grape.
Mental chatter, that constant inner monologue, is often seen as a distraction, but it has positive sides too.
I'm so pleased.
Far from being just noise, mental chatter can actually play a significant role in problem solving, self-reflection, creativity, and personal growth. So here are some benefits to embracing and understanding our mental chatter. Mental chatter allows us to think through complex issues and weigh options. Even when we're not consciously trying to, it helps us process emotions, replay conversations, and consider different perspectives. This automatic processing can sometimes offer clarity on issues, leading to insights that help us make better decisions.
I saw a man that used different cuts of steak to create portraits of people. It was a rare medium, but well done.
Hashtag mental chatter. The inner dialogue that appears random is often a treasure trove of creative ideas. Mental chatter can help us brainstorm and explore new possibilities. It may wander over unusual connections and combinations, which can spark original ideas or help us reframe a problem in a novel way. And I've got to say, I love that. I have also found that I haven't heard something someone has said correctly. It's actually given me ideas for songs and content in the podcast.
What do you mean?
Well, someone may have been explaining, say, about potatoes, and I've heard something else that's not even remotely the same, but what I did hear was inspiring in regard to a creative project.
My wife asked me, is it just me or is the cat getting fat? Apparently, no, it's just you wasn't the right answer.
Oh, Bob. So self-reflection, where we examine our values, our goals and choices, is one of the hallmarks of mental chatter. This inner talk can provide valuable insights, enabling us to learn from past experiences, old boys, and they're true, understand our motivations, and that's true as well, and set intentions for personal growth, also true. Personally, I like to be involved in some kind of personal growth in some form at all times. I like the idea of not getting stale.
Like last week's bread.
Yeah, like bread, Bob. I'm going to call you Bob. Like
getting growths on it.
Yeah, I guess.
And interesting and vibrant strands of mould.
Yeah, plenty of mould. Oh, Bob, get me all crumpled here. Mental chatter, it helps us look inward, developing a deeper sense of who we are. What's going on inside our thinking. A healthy level of mental chatter can keep us sharp. It keeps us alert to potential risks or areas that we might need to improve. For instance, speaking properly.
Shut up.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say it. Rehearsing a conversation or mentally preparing for an important event can help reduce anxiety by making us feel more ready to handle what's coming.
Oh yeah, I've done this.
Yeah, I think you would have, Bob. Mental chatter often involves revisiting past conversations or imagining future ones, and this process allows us to consider how others might feel or respond.
Oh, gee, I haven't heard any saying, that really, really drives it home for me.
Oh, I think you have, Bob. When we embrace mental chatter, we can learn to separate helpful self-talk from unproductive thoughts. This awareness builds resilience as we start to recognise patterns and find ways to manage stress instead of letting intrusive thoughts take over. And I think we all know that one when something's been bothering us, a situation at work or something in our lives, and it just plays over and over and over, and we have to harness that mental chatter in order to confront challenges, even if that means accepting some uncomfortable feelings along the way.
I know I joke a lot, but on a more serious note, I need everyone to wish me luck.
Oh, okay, Bob.
Yeah, I have a meeting at the bank later, and if it's a success, I will be out of debt and I'll own everything I now have.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can barely find out what you're going to be doing.
Well, I'm so excited I can barely put on my ski mask.
Oh, Bob, you got me. Mental chatter doesn't have to be something we tune out or suppress. By leaning into it with curiosity, we can transform it into a tool that fosters creativity, empathy, resilience, and personal insight. It's about listening to what our minds are trying to tell us without judgment or impatience. I know that could be challenging, but I'm a talk to myself kind of person. I've been doing it for years, and I refer to it as chatting with the expert because I know myself best. So sometimes I run things past myself in the car.
Are you that person having a chat with yourself?
Yep, I like to hear what I'm going to say to ensure it comes across well.
Oh, how funny and cute. I've seen people chatting away in their cars and thought they were on their Bluetooth talking to someone.
Well, they might have been. I look like I'm probably chatting to someone, but that's not really my concern, what it looks like.
No, you don't care, do you?
No, not one pinch. Nope. Getting mindful about limiting information overload. Now, this is a huge one for me. I have many projects on the go all the time. And mostly it's good, but sometimes I'm aware that I have to step away just to reset and allow creativity to flow again. And that's all in line with practicing self-compassion. Self-compassion involves treating oneself with kindness rather than criticism. By reframing thoughts with self-kindness, people can reduce the harshness of their mental chatter. So my nickname for myself is Limby. Now, I use Limby when I'm overthinking, for example, and I call myself out on it. Now, Limby, I say.
You do that, don't you?
I do, Bob. Yeah, I say, now, Limby, slow it down or don't go down that track, whatever it is. And even better, I listen to myself.
Why did the bicycle fall over? Because it was too tired.
Repeating positive affirmations or mantras helps counterbalance the mind's tendency toward negative chatter. They absolutely do. It's like putting a detour on everything for a time. These words act as anchors, redirecting focus away from unhelpful thoughts. So, all right, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into mental chatter.
Surely not. No, surely not.
Yes, Bob, time to fly. I hope today's episodes helped you feel a little bit more empowered to handle those inner dialogues that just won't quit. Remember, mental chatter is totally normal, and sometimes it just needs a little TLC to quieten down. Thank you for tuning in. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who could use a little piece from their own mental chatter. So say good day to the family for me, give the bighorn sheep a bleat, and we'll see you next time, okay? Okay then, bye.
Bye.